Since the coup in July 2023, the Niger military leaders, under the leadership of General Abdourahmane Chiani, have made several changes that have affected many areas of the nation. Politically, they promised a return to civilian control within 3 years, disbanded the parliament, suspended the constitution, and detained President Mohamed Bazoum. Security-wise, they reorganized the military command, broke off relations with France's barking counterterrorism program, and pursued stronger defense relationships with neighboring countries that are governed by military leaders, such as Mali and Burkina Faso. In today's video, we will be looking at another decision made by the Niger leaders. This is the decision to stop granting new mining licenses. We will also be telling you the reasons behind this decision and those who instigated Niger to make this decision. According to the Mines Ministry, the self-appointed military government of Niger has ordered an examination of the mining industry and temporarily halted the issuance of new mining licenses. The ministry's January 22nd statement did not give a rationale for the license suspension. Requests for comments from the Minister of Mines were not answered. Niger is the 7th largest producer of uranium, the radioactive metal used as fuel for nuclear energy, in the world, and possesses the highest grade uranium ores on the continent. The French state-owned company Orano operates a single significant uranium mining operation in the country's north. Despite the July coup of last year, activities went on. There are also several artisanal gold miners throughout the nation. The sole commercial gold mine in the southwest is owned by Nguvu Mining, based in Ghana. The suspension of new mining licenses in Niger reflects a common pattern. French companies have been exploiting resources, underpaying local labor, evading taxes, involved in capital flight and money laundering. Also, they did this with the help of the puppet leaders they put in place. Since Bazoum is still detained and Chiani has refused to adhere to the West, there is no way that France will be able to control Niger again. Bear in mind that the military regimes in Mali and Niger said in a joint statement in December that they were rejecting the double taxation arrangements they had with France, further breaking their connections with the French. Subservient puppet leaders have also ignored democratic progress in return for massive aid programs. Bribes have been paid via arms deals and other help with security, and, of course, in hard cash that has been laundered. But all this is changing. With the coming of the alliance of Sahel states, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have become more powerful and have a common goal. This alliance binds the signatories to assist one another, including militarily, in the event of an attack on any one of them. If we are keen on observing, we will discover that the decisions taken in these 3 countries are quite similar. For example, Captain Ibrahim Traoré revoked the mining permits of all foreign businesses, including those from Russia last year. Now, Niger is doing something similar. Captain Ibrahim was unable to comprehend Burkina Faso's continued status as one of the world's poorest countries, even with substantial gold deposits. He was aware that France, Burkina Faso's former colonial power, contributed to the country's inability to develop an independent gold industry by enforcing unfair trade agreements on the country during and after its independence, which ensured that France profited disproportionately from Burkina Faso's gold resources. These 3 countries are showing us what the likes of Muammar Gaddafi and Patrice Lumumba meant by a unified Africa. In the most recent turn out of events, the military leaders of Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali jointly announced that they would all be leaving the economic community of West African states. The 15-nation regional bloc economic community of West African states was established in 1975 with one goal: to promote cooperation and integration, to raise the living standards of its people, and to maintain and enhance economic stability. Since then, it has developed as the leading political authority in the area, frequently working with states to address domestic issues ranging from politics to the economy and security. But have they been raising the living standards of their people? If they were doing so, these countries would still have wanted to be part of them. The military regime in Niger plans to restructure the mining industry to give the government the financial resources to function more independently. This will reduce the state's reliance on outside sources of funding like aid and provide additional revenue for government operations and essential services in a wider sense. By demanding more from its mineral resources, the military leaders aim to not only mitigate the financial fallout from sanctions, but also send a signal that the country is willing to assert its economic sovereignty, even if it means reshaping its relationship with Western powers. Some analysts also view this move as a form of retaliation against Western sanctions, portraying it as Niger's way of asserting independence and reclaiming control over its economic destiny. However, this approach may encounter difficulties like possible opposition from current mining players or international surveillance, but experts are assured that its success will depend on how well the mining industry is managed and how well it is implemented. France will respect Niger's sovereign right to manage its resources as it deems fit. At this point, they do not have a choice. They might have used their soldiers to stop the military government, but December marked the end of the disengagement process of French forces in Niger. It was the third time in less than 18 months that French troops were sent packing from a country in the Sahel. They were forced to leave fellow former colonies Mali in 2022 and Burkina Faso last year, following the country's strict principles too. With all this going on, do not forget that Niger's military tribunal granted provisional release to Mohamed Bazoum Salem, the 23-year-old son of ousted President Mohamed Bazoum, from house arrest in the capital Niamey. The tribunal made this decision early this year. Salem had been under detention at the presidential residence, along with his parents, since the military coup that ousted his father in July. In a significant development, the ECOWAS Court of Justice declared last month that the detention of Bazoum's family was arbitrary and ordered the reinstatement of President Bazoum. The court's decisions were final and could not be appealed. The military rulers had 1 month to outline how they planned to execute this order. This made many Africans ask themselves if it was due to this reason that the son of Bazoum was released. This might have also been one of the reasons why Niger decided to leave the bloc. If they are no longer part of the bloc, then they will not have questions to keep answering in the ECOWAS Court of Justice. With the release of Bazoum's son and the suspension of new mining licenses, do you think the French have just gained another spy? Ponder on this as we ride on. As Niger is blocking France and other Western powers from their country and resources, Russia is also gaining ground. Recent years have seen a rise in Russian influence throughout Africa, positioning the continent at the center of the expanding geopolitical rivalry between the White House and the Kremlin. According to U.S. authorities, Russia's employment of mercenaries, disinformation campaigns, and attempts to create a multipolar world order have exacerbated conflict and threatened democratic stability across the continent. But is this the case? China's and the West's economic and military engagement in Africa still surpasses Russia's. However, amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine, certain African governments, Niger included, are significantly increasing their ties to Moscow. According to some analysts, Moscow's growing aspirations to foster anti-Western sentiment and establish itself as an ally of African nations might make the continent a flashpoint in the global geopolitical rivalry between Russia and the West. They caution that Africa's hopes for democracy are being undermined by Russia's support of authoritarian regimes, including several coups in recent years. From an economic perspective, Russia's fascination with the continent's abundant resources will impact significant supply chains, particularly those involving some of the key technologies driving the worldwide movement towards sustainable energy. However, Africa's access to vital Russian commodities has been challenged by the continued aftermath of the Ukrainian war, indicating impending problems with food and energy security. At this point, a lot of Africans have made their choices, and they know the allies they want. France is definitely not one of them. Some foreign nations are alarmed by Russia's growing influence in Africa, while others see possible advantages. Many analysts believe that China is unlikely to help contain Russia, since it is often indifferent to the domestic political affairs of its allies. Both nations want to push the West aside so they may live together on the continent, and in the face of Western sanctions, Russia's reliance on China has only increased. Living and being an ally to Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali does not make them controllers over the resources of these countries. We can see this from the likes of Ibrahim Traoré, who was on good terms with Russia but still suspended the gold license of Nordgold. This proves that these countries know what they want. However, competition over Africa's resources could eventually become a fault line between Beijing and Moscow, and China's emphasis on maintaining stability above all else could conflict with Russia's attempts to foment instability. Russia's aggression, however, is seen by the US and the EU as a danger to the stability of Africa. The United States has sanctioned several Africans and organizations for their ties to the Wagner Group, and they have directly placed penalties on the Wagner Group. American officials have retaliated against African nations that try to get around Western sanctions on Russian commodities. However, analysts say such pressure could be counterproductive, as many African countries do not want to be forced to choose sides in what they see as a needlessly zero-sum competition, preferring instead to keep their options open and cultivate a diverse array of relationships. It is clear that Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali are changing the narrative in Africa. Although the mining halt in Niger has raised concerns, it is also a powerful stop for advancement. It provides a forum for discussing procedures, evaluating methods, and developing a more conscientious resource management strategy. Transparency can be given top priority during this critical period, which can also be utilized to involve stakeholders and develop a framework that protects people and the environment, while utilizing resources to create long-term prosperity. This temporal pause's success depends on mutual trust, inclusivity, and a shared commitment to Niger's sustainable future. Do you think the halting of new licenses will affect Niger's economy? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we upload videos like this. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.